In the County of Lincoln, State of Maine. In the name of the State of Maine, you are hereby required to notify and warn the inhabitants of the town of Newcastle and said county and state, qualified by law to vote in town affairs, to meet at the fire station building at 86 River Road on Monday, the 25th of March, AD 2024 at 7 p.m. Then and there to act upon Article 1 by written ballot and Articles 2 through
It's a 4.
2 through 5 to be voted on in an open town meeting. Article 1, to elect a moderator by written ballot to preside at said meeting.
Means some selectman person has to.
I nominate Lorraine Farragut.
I'll second it.
What's that? You say that name again.
Lorraine. Could you help me out, Lorraine Farragut?
Just put Lorraine down.
Lorraine.
Who's gonna count the ballots? Nobody else is running. The landslide. Yep.
All right. Lorraine, do you swear that you will support the Constitution of the United States and of this state so long as you shall continue a citizen thereof? Do you swear that you will faithfully discharge to the best of your ability the duties incumbent on me as moderator at the special town meeting according to the Constitution and the law of the state of Maine, so help you God?
It's important.
Can you hear me from that? Okay. I'm probably going to sit down anyway. Okay. Little housekeeping. Turn off your phones if you haven't done that already. Exits are apparently here. Is that an exit back there?
Yep.
And probably out through that way.
Ends with 4.
Oh, and there's 4. Oh, pretty exciting. And the main moderator's guide will be used if there's any procedural issues. And if you want to make a statement for or against about something, please come up to the table, use the microphone. The volume does not adjust in here. It's for the recording and the if there's folks at home or the tape from the station. And state your name and if you're a resident of Newcastle. And for example, I would say Lorraine Farragut, Elm Street, Damascotta. You don't have to be too specific. But if you're not, is there anybody out here that might be speaking that's not a resident of Newcastle? Okay, so
I'm not.
are you going to speak?
Yes.
Okay. Could we, and your name is?
Kevin Sutherland.
Kevin Southern. Okay. Could we have a motion from somebody that Kevin could?
Looks like we have a second.
Okay, good second. Okay.
Rob.
Rob.
In the back. Okay. All those in favor? Anybody opposed? All right. Kevin gets to speak. All right.
Thank you, everybody.
All right. So let's just start with the articles. Article 2, shall the town amend the fireworks ordinances? Proposed changes in a memo from the town manager were attached to the warrant. Hopefully you all got that. Need a motion? Thank you. And a second? Okay. It has been moved and seconded. Any discussion on that? Kevin?
I'd just like to preface what the meanings of these changes are to the public who will be voting on it, so they have some information about it. And I hope everyone had a chance to review the memo and the attachments that were available. This is part of an ordinance and policy review work that the select board had sort of tasked me with last fall. We're slowly working through them. This one has no changes to the fireworks ordinance other than to reorder it, make it read clearer and add, a couple of commas and language cleanouts. So that's all this one does. So I'm not trying to put the more controversial ordinances in front of a special town meeting, save those for the annual town meeting. But for now, that's the intent here, is try to address these this way.
Thank you. Any other comments for or against this motion? Seeing none, all those in favor of town amending the fireworks ordinance? And anyone against? Motion carries. All right, Article 3. Shall the town amend the Finance Committee ordinance? Again, the proposed changes in a memo from the town manager were attached to the warrant. You have a motion to amend? So moved. Second in the back. Okay. Any comments? Again, Kevin.
These changes address two primary goals. We were trying to right size the number of members to the current interest in participating and modifying the language to match the now select board manager form of government. This ordinance has not been reviewed since before the town changed to this form of government 4 or 5 years ago now, somewhere around 5 years ago. So that is really the goal of that. There are now 3 members to the finance committee under the new draft, and that group has been meeting as we've been going through the budget process.
Thank you. Any other comments? Any discussion? Yes. Do you want to come up to the table, please? Yeah, I know.
I just question, could you clarify the staggered terms of membership on the board?
The idea that every
I
year,
misunderstood.
the idea every year, the select board would appoint or reappoint a member. So after 3 years, it could be 3 different, completely different people.
Okay, anybody else? Seeing no other comments, all those in favor of amending the Finance Committee ordinance? Anyone opposed? Motion carries. All right, Article 4, shall the town raise and appropriate a sum of money not to exceed $556,000 to purchase a KME pumper fire truck through a loan agreement or municipal bond with terms deemed by the municipal officials as being in the town's best interest? We have a motion? So moved in a second, okay. All right, discussion. Yes,
I'm Earl Brees. I'm very much for this motion, but did you say 565?
it says 556 on my forms.
Yep.
Kevin might.
Says 656 on this one.
I offer to provide some commentary on that too. Merle,
So apparently we have different.
we do, because the truck itself, the bid is 656,000. The 556 is written in here because we already have $100,000 in a savings account specifically for the purchase of this truck. So that's the difference. As part of this budget cycle, we are looking to put another $50,000 into the program. So could be a little less, but hoping to reserve the right of being able to borrow up to that amount in case the 50,000 doesn't get in the budget this year, and or we look at different options for how we fund this truck.
I was just curious because the paper I was reading, it said 656.
Yeah, that's how much the truck actually, the bid
Yes,
was
yeah.
for. Yep.
Okay, thank you.
Yep.
Okay, thank you. So that the 556 is the correct amount.
For
You're
this
asking for.
request up
Okay.
to this amount. I
All right.
hope we don't have to borrow that much, but
Well, no, I just.
Yep.
All right. Any other discussion or questions? All right, all those in favor of Article 4? Come on, Merle, get it up there. Okay.
For it.
All right, anyone against it? All right, motion carries. Article 5, shall the town vote to allocate the remaining $24,070.64 of the American Recovery Plan Act funds to offset the expenditures related to the cleanup from the December 18th, 2023 winter storm as permitted in the 2023 interim final rule to provide emergency relief from natural disasters or their negative economic impacts. We have a motion. So moved and Couple of seconds, okay. Any discussion on Article 5? Kevin, again, thank God we voted you to speak.
I know, right? I actually feel embarrassed that I'm no longer a Newcastle resident, but
Well,
I will request this every time now. There's a memo in here provided by our treasurer that really outlines exactly what this use of money is for. The federal government has made a final rule that allows us to use some of that ARPA, leftover ARPA money that we have specifically for natural disasters. In December, we had a storm, December 18th, we had a storm that cost the town about $35,000 worth of cleanup and repair. We tried to get federal funding for it. That declaration wasn't extended to Lincoln County, so therefore we can't work through the FEMA program to get recovery. We have a lot of projects to do this summer that if we move this money into the budget to cover the cost of that storm, I have a little bit more leeway with some of the spring projects I need to do to clean up after multiple storms, including the one that we've just experienced this week. So I'm just looking to use the rest of the funds that are there and allow our treasurer to actually close out the account and be done with the ARPA funds.
okay, any discussion, questions about this? Yes, sir.
Kevin Voigt, 34 Mills Road. Is there any way that any of these funds could be used to take care of the sidewalk on Mills Road? That's it. It does look like a natural.
Respond?
I don't do questions, so
Oh.
yeah.
There are limitations in terms of what the final rules are, or the final rule includes capital investments for physical plant changes to public facilities. So unfortunately, you could stretch it to say other economic support. You could stretch it to maybe say aid to tourism. Part of that project, part of the need there is obvious. It's very obvious to the select board and myself that there is need to address that piece of it. And I think we're trying to do it through the VPI and have the state assist us in its repair. That being said, there has been some utility work recently, actually last fall, that is going to resume for final. And my intent is to ask them to fix some of the sidewalk to make it a little bit better as part of their finalization of the storm drain that was done by Pratt and Sons.
Okay, anything else? All right, seeing no other questions, all those in favor of Article 5? All those opposed? Motion carries. That concludes your special town meeting, I think.
Wow.
Well, the board has to move to adjourn or whatever, but
Well, I'll move to adjourn the special town meeting. Is there a second? Yep. All in favor? All in favor?
Favor?
All right. Thank you, guys. Thanks, everybody, for coming out. Yeah.
Thank you all.
yeah, I always get nervous at a large crowd. I think we're going to have some discussion, but when Damascotta, when we were doing
We will. Let's see, 7:25, call the, I have my agenda up here. So off schedule here. I know it's March 25th. Let me get my agenda.
You're too busy politics.
All right, it is 7:26. We'll call the March 25th, 2024 select board meeting to order. Got it. Do you have any amendments to the agenda tonight?
We do not.
Seeing none, well, the motion to approve the minutes from March 11th, 2024. Fred Rufus, second.
Second here.
Or, anyone have any questions, comments? Nope,
Go ahead.
I thought I was, well, anyway. Okay. All right, then if there are none, all in favor of passing the minutes as they were written
Mhm.
for the March 11th meeting passes. You're not here?
Oh,
Oh, you, March 11th?
March 11th. No, I
You were
was-
here.
Yeah, no. It's,
Okay,
March
Yeah.
11th.
he's checked out already.
I don't
No,
know.
he was at the budget meeting. He wasn't at March.
Oh, you weren't
No, I
at the
wasn't
March
at the,
11th.
no, I wasn't at the.
You were in bed.
I was in bed.
Okay,
Yeah, I wasn't. There.
okay, then it passes 4 with 1 abstaining.
Okay.
Right, do we have any public comments tonight on items not on the agenda?
Good evening, David Lovett, 30 Glidden Street. Just wanted to encourage the select board to continue to work on the contract with Spectrum franchise fees. I think we're losing income by not having a more updated contract. So to the extent that you could move it up in any priority list, that would be great.
Okay, thank you.
you.
Yes, that's been how many years now?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Hmm.
Yep, yeah.
Carol Boyd, 34 Mills Road. I almost hit someone last night, not last night, a couple of times, coming off of Route 1 and going on to Mills Road with that signal still being missing.
The
Um,
crosswalk signal?
Yeah,
Mhm.
and this has been inordinately long.
It has.
I have to deal with safety replacements in my job. And sometimes you have to pay more to be able to get something that is in inventory further away than you want or from not your provider that you would like. Even if it means replacing the one on the other side. Because people were wearing black, they could not push the button because it wasn't there. And if I hadn't been really, I think it was a flash of somebody's bracelet or something, that's
Oh, geez.
ridiculous.
Yeah.
Big jewelry helps sometimes with safety. And I would have hit him.
Don't tell my wife that.
Big jewelry. Carol, you'd be happy to know that it's been ordered.
What was the delivery time?
I don't think we've got one yet, do we? No, it's just been ordered. The money that we were waiting to get reimbursed for it was incorrectly in the spring, put into the wrong account, so we didn't know we had received it. So
I would suggest for safety
we're on it.
issues that you don't rely on a refund and just go ahead and purchase and then credit back,
we've ordered it. It's absolutely.
but in the
ordered.
future.
Yep.
Okay.
Yeah.
One other thing, and I brought this up before, and it actually becomes more significant with one of your one of your town meetings where you discussed people being able to build on their properties, to be able to have multifamily dwellings, like their child was given a right to build a home and then they could subdivide. Well, that goes back to narrow roads and depending on the property and the depth, especially if they're shotgun. And I do think that there might be some consideration on minimal width of roads, minimal sidewalk access and evaluation with the fire chief and the fire department on access to be able to respond to a fire, especially with some of these that are so deep. You may not be able to approach from another side, from another connecting road. That goes into the property that is being developed on Mills Road. Is I'm very nervous with maximizing the lot size usage, which is appropriate. However, really haven't looked how they're going to be able to get to the back side of that building, given the acreage behind it. And that could very easily, with the dry conditions that we have now more and more every summer, be a fire that moves further away than just that residence or facility. And a third was that, I brought this up before, is that if such properties, or even what we have now, a lot of the roads have only one side. Not saying that you, but on this road, on the access to it, there is such that you can't get away from an area of exposure to injury because there's only one sidewalk. For instance, the neighbor next to ours has an electric fence and their dogs rush up. There's numerous people on the street who will tell you of having to walk into the road, of drivers thinking their dogs are going to run into them. And then bicyclists, all the rest of it being agitated by these dogs rushing up. Now, I've met the dogs aside. They're not combative dogs, but you wouldn't know it from them running up. And by me mentioning in this, if anyone has an incident related an injury is associated with a electric fence that is too near the road for safety, and that is not a state ordinance that sets that. So suggest you review it to be able to look, especially when you go to looking at structuring roads on narrow plots, that there's enough distance to be able to have it, or restrict that they need to have a fence. Because I don't want anybody to go through what I went through.
Okay,
Thank you.
Yep.
Thank you.
Anybody else? Great.
Yeah, one thing I just.
Yeah.
I'm not sure if this is the right time to bring it up, but what is the channel for getting a building condemned? There's a building that I drive by oftentimes. It now has, I think, 2 trees that have fallen on it, and there's nobody ever, I've never seen anybody on the property. And I'm just curious, there are a lot of kids that live around, and I know when I was a kid, I probably would have
Thought that was
had to
fun.
take a look.
Yeah.
I'm just curious, what
Yeah.
is that code enforcement? Is that us?
Hopefully.
What's the venue for that?
It is, but it's also driven by ordinance. So I
Okay.
might have to look at either revising ordinances we have in place or creating one.
Okay.
There's lots of examples around the state we can just borrow from.
Yeah,
and
it's
consider.
just, I know your list is.
Just add it to
long.
the list of
Maybe it
future
moves
agenda
up.
items.
I think we have a couple properties in town.
Yeah, I just,
It's a good conversation during the priorities.
okay.
Yep.
Great.
I think
I'll
there's,
bring it up again.
I think there's something about safety.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Hazard in our current code, so, but as a CEO. thing.
Well, as we're revisiting priorities,
Yeah.
I guess next meeting, I'll bring it up again.
That's what I'm keep in mind. All right, on to, oh, yes, changed your mind, Kevin? Come on down.
I just, Kevin Voigt, 34 Mills Road. And it's just to ask if anybody here knows what it was that the explosion was down by Louis Doe's. When the power went off on Saturday night, our home in the kitchen, we can see down there. And that blue light, when the power went off, was like an explosion that was like a quarter of an acre.
Mm.
It just boom and then boom and boom.
Wow.
And I just wanted to know if anybody knew,
I-
because I doubt CMP.
I know that it wasn't something the fire department was called to. But from the description, I do believe that there's a CMP, what they call reclosure right there. Pretty much what that'll do is it'll try to jolt whatever may have came on the line off of it by doing that 3
Really?
jumps of power.
Uh-huh.
And that's in an attempt to, if there's a limb or something that's weighed on to the line, it'll try to pretty much blow it off.
Wow.
Jeez.
What does that do to your things in your house?
I believe it,
It shouldn't impact
it should impact.
I didn't know that. That's cool. I mean, it's scary, but that's good to know.
That goes to.
It's not like an increase in voltage or anything,
Okay.
but it's just a,
Pulse.
it's a
Pulse,
pulse.
Yeah.
Wow.
Interesting.
Good to know. Thank you. All right, on 5A, new business, carry forward for sidewalk crossing beacon. Here we go. The money for it.
Yeah, so the money was actually
Yeah.
submitted in the wrong revenue account last fall, or I'm sorry, last spring. Unfortunately, Michelle, the deep dive researcher that we have on staff, found it and is recommending that we but after talking to the auditor, recommending we move the money. As soon as we found out about this, we called Seth and had him call the vendor to get it ordered and he'll install it when it arrives. Which I hope is soon, but I'll keep the pressure on that one.
Okay.
But I do need your.
Yep. So do I have
Physically-
a motion then to authorize the town treasurer to carry forward $8,687.50 from fiscal year 23 into fiscal year 24 as a credit to traffic signs account number 107-44-03.
So
Moved by Tor, seconded by Tom. Any other discussion?
Just in the future, whereas it's a public safety thing, this might be a good use of undesignated funds.
Yep.
You know, I know,
In the past, that's what we've
Yeah.
done. I don't know why it didn't happen.
I think there was a lot of upheaval going on right then and maybe it got over.
That was that, but yeah, and then the first time it was hit, we couldn't get a sign. We tried to order one, we couldn't
Yep.
get it. It didn't exist. It was backward for like a year and a half or something like that.
Was caught in the Suez Canal.
No, it was
Probably.
COVID. It was like,
Yeah.
it was that
Yeah.
COVID.
So it was
Suez
caught in the
Canal.
Suez
Yeah.
Canal.
Or out at the Port of LA.
Yeah. Or there's no one to
So,
put it in a box.
so all in favor then of moving it? Okay, so it passes 5-0. On to new business 5B, the county budget.
Yeah, I don't have anything to do with this except give it to you to sign. So
Can we,
it's right here.
can we amend it?
No, no,
Move,
You can't.
yes.
Okay, so then do I have a motion to approve and return a signed copy of the assessor's return from the county?
moved.
Moved by Tor, seconded by
Do
Joel.
it after the meeting.
yeah, we can do it after.
Yep, all
don't
in
forget.
favor? 5-0. All right, we'll sign that.
Shell's here, so she'll remind me, make sure you
Hey.
guys all sign.
Okay.
it.
Are you waiting for this?
Not this minute. No, she's here for the budget stuff.
So you were trying to let her go.
That was your chance, Michelle. Sorry.
Well. Oh, the other new business item. The solar eclipse fans amongst us would like us to postpone our meeting for Monday, the 8th until Tuesday, the 9th. I believe those are the dates, yes, yeah. So that some or many of them can go watch the solar eclipse. Plus, I think there's at least 2 people here who will not be here because they're solar eclipsing. So
Who's solar eclipsing?
Oh, yeah.
I'm going to
I'll
Vermont.
call you when I get
Vermont.
there.
Oh, yeah.
yeah, so. Do I have a motion to move, first off, does anyone, let's have a motion to move it and then we can discuss if you want to do the 9th, I guess. Motion to move the meeting from the 8th to the 9th.
Move that.
By Rufus, seconded by Tor. Does anybody object to the 9th? Or is that a problem or?
Is there are there any scheduling conflicts?
is
with the
there-
room?
There's not a fire.
There is a meeting, but
It's not in here. There's nothing in here.
I don't think anything has to be in here now.
Okay.
I
That's
can-
the only thing I'd check, but
Right, then-
Yeah, I didn't look at that. I just
other than
trying
that,
to find another date because I really want to go see the solar eclipse.
That is the. How much? 97.2.
Yeah, but that's not 100. It's not 100%.
Yeah, for those who are purists need that 100%, right?
Come on, David.
Nice. So, wait a minute, where'd the calendar? That is the second Monday of the month. Tom.
Yeah, they use the meeting room on the first week, usually for a business meeting, but that's been moved out into the bays before too, so.
All right, but that would be,
I
that wouldn't be,
I can,
it's the, I'm sorry, Monday the first, and
Yeah.
then Monday the eighth. Okay. All right, so is that good then? The ninth?
That's it.
All right, then all in favor of having it on the ninth? Passes 5-0.
We can move it into the bays too. We can have
We can
the
put out there.
workshop in the bays or in the parking lot.
Does that need to get, have we advertised that workshop yet?
No.
Okay.
Right, because
Called
that's a,
for it. But I haven't
Go for it, but
pushed
we
it
haven't
out.
advertised it, so
right, that's
not-
a meeting, a workshop at 6
Yes.
and then a meeting at 7.
Mm.
Alright, unfinished business, 6A, possible amendments to the this is the budget stuff to the manager's fiscal year 25 budget. All right,
Yeah, so this is, the idea here is to have lots of motions. So I devised a calculator that's been posted online, and what I'll do is, once we're on Zoom. Yeah. Are you on Zoom?
Yep.
Am I on the wrong account? I'm on the wrong account. That's why. I would put the calculator up on the screen, and we'd have access to follow it and see the changes as you make motions. So during the last 3 workshops, probably about almost a dozen concepts for changes to the manager's budget were suggested or sort of a loose motion. So what I've done is staff and I have populated these rows with the different motions for you to consider. Ideally, somebody would make a motion, somebody would second that motion, and then discussion and vote on it. If there's no second to a motion, it just dies for lack of a second. Ideally, we do these 12 today. You have others that you've been thinking of that you want to consider, bring them up. And then whatever we finalize today will be now the select board's budget. That then goes forward to the next meeting where you'll have the public hearing. Let public participate in that conversation. You may make more changes at that meeting. And hopefully finalize it before if you need to on the 22nd, but hopefully whatever comes out of our next meeting now on the 9th would be what we create the warrant articles based on. And obviously if there's changes there, that's fine, but that was my concept or hope that we could do as an activity. So I do need to jump on our Zoom. Apparently I'm on the wrong one. Oh, you know what had happened? Because I created new ones. I mean, we can start the motions and I'll pull up the calculator. You guys all have it
yeah, I just want to make sure I'm
following.
following here. We had 12 things that we'd talked about, but if we want to have other ones tonight, we can talk about them, add them.
Yep. At the
Okay,
end of that.
okay. That would be the
Absolutely.
vision, okay. Just trying to pull up the,
Yeah, had I
Double
gotten
check.
them last, I know like everyone had a crazy weekend, but had I received them, I would have already populated them there for you tonight. And the version that I hope to be able to display on the screen once I figure out why I have a different link than Jeff does. And then I'm going to use my computer to Michelle to help keep track of this while you guys discuss and help facilitate the conversation.
all right, so I guess we can go down
Yeah.
row one by
Yep.
one.
Yep.
Um,
Motion 1 was increasing professional development fees by 1,200. I think this was proposed by a member of the finance committee. Ideally to provide more opportunities for trainings for board members of the different boards and both towns. And look to have Damascotta also allocate some resources for this type of activity.
Right. So this is gonna require going back to, we were gonna increase it, but if anyone wants to know what it, increase it from what to what, I guess we have to go back to our,
The request was for $1,200.
right, on top of, I'm trying to see what we have in there, just for discussion's sake. I'm still trying to figure out the numbering system here.
It's gonna be, section 3, page 1.
Right.
Madam Chair. A request. Um. So I know Kevin's got the process here, but I'm wondering if we could just go down through the list. Kind of briefly review all of the expenditures before we dive into each of them.
All of these expenditures
Yeah.
that we've got
Yeah,
listed?
all the motions.
Sure.
Because I'll tell you what my sort of what my point is here, that the only thing in my opinion, needs to be discussed is the capital roads reserve transfer of $319,000. It's just my opinion, but I think everything else to me is clear and it's more or less a small number. So it's just a thought.
Yeah, I think most everything else was pretty
I just like, we just go down through
straightforward.
quick. We don't have to, if we just move through it, we can just do it. And then just either approve it or not.
Sure. So,
We can do it quick.
all right, so the first
I
one,
I have a couple comments on some stuff. So.
okay, so does anyone have any questions or comments on the increase of professional development, more trainings then?
No,
Right.
I would move to
Approve that one?
approve it.
Okay. Does he want us to vote on them? Okay, I'll
Well-
have a second, all in favor.
Yeah.
I
I
guess,
suppose there's a motion, right? So
Yep,
we look
so-
at the second it, or
I,
Yeah,
we haven't done it this way, so.
we've never
No.
done it this way. We've never made motions.
If there was concern that some of these weren't supported by the board, or you wanted to talk a bit about them, we can. You can do it as a lump sum, and just say, we support this. I just want you to change my
But you
Motion.
want us to make a motion to do that?
support
Motion
for
second,
motions 1 through 9 or whatever.
but an
Mhm.
official motion is what you're
okay,
looking
but we don't have to do them one by one
I
then.
just want, I want support from the board, knowing that these are the changes I'm going to make,
Mhm.
so that it better follows the process, so that I have record of it next year when somebody says, well, why did we do that?
Mhm.
Because there were a few times, even during the workshop, everyone's scratching their head like, why did we decide that? Oh, I finally remember. I don't have that recorded in. So that's the intent of this, is to say, here are the changes you propose to make. Do you all support those changes? Yes. Great. This is now your budget.
My only question, and I know it's little, the first one was, we've got $5,000 in the budget right now. Did we increased it because there's that $5,000 is fairly well spoken for?
The idea is that money's for training for staff.
Okay.
The idea was then to add additional resources to help pay for training for boards and committees
Okay,
as well.
okay, that's what, then that answers that. It's fairly well spoken for or planned
Fairly
for.
well.
Okay. All right, the SCBA, does anyone have any questions about that or concerns? Nope. Then the third one, decrease the hourly call pay line while still supporting an increase in the rate from $19 an hour to $21 an hour for firefighters on call. There's only a decrease of $800. Does anyone have any?
I just, again,
Yep.
want to bring up the fact that because I don't know. I don't know the proper method to approving a pay rate change, but I just wanted to make sure that it was noted that the board had a chance to approve it. Usually we discuss these things in executive session and then there's a motion, there's a action taken after. If we're, yeah. So I just want to, when we're dealing with contracts, so I just want to support the pay rate increase regardless of the hourly, regardless of the
Budget amount?
number, the budgeted number of hours. I just don't want that to get confused.
Right.
And so if there is something that we should do in that, I just ask that we do that at a meeting before the annual town meeting. So
Okay,
that's it. But if everyone's comfortable with that number, I'm good with that number.
yeah, if
Changing.
if
in case
it's-
you know. we're gonna pay no matter what, so.
Right.
It's
Right.
the deal. Just so it's understood with the.
Yes,
Yep.
the intent is
With
to
the
raise
intent.
the
Yeah.
hourly
Hourly
rate
rate.
from $19 to $21.
Yeah.
Based on my best estimate, I don't know if we need 17.8.
No, and that part's fine. I just want it to be clear because it is a different type of. It's a different type of situation that we have, so. I just want to make sure that we're, it's clear to anyone else moving in that the rate is at 21,
Yep.
not 19.
And,
So,
and it's not a hard line because we have contingency
correct.
that we can draw on if call volume goes over
Yep.
17.
And from a communication standpoint, it's actually a good practice to say, hey, we're going over budget here because we've had an increase in call volume.
Yeah.
And we need to move some money. And then the public understands. Our volunteer fire call division is experiencing high call volumes. So stop burning your leaves in your backyard when it's really dry out.
All right, I'm gonna create a new reserve account for building maintenance as opposed to a building reserve fund.
Correct.
So,
And then fund it with some of the money that's currently in the building fund. Municipal building.
yes, and I'm gonna move $50,000, right, from one fund to another to separate.
Yep.
Maintenance from long-term building plans.
And the plan is with that is to actually create a separate warrant article identifying the creation of that reserve and the amount of money going from where. That's different than the operating budget.
Yep. Yep, okay. And then also create and fund a new reserve account for PFAS.
I got one thing on that.
Oh, yep.
Last one, and I'd just say that I think it's good doing it the way we're doing it, but I'd say that any future funding of that account should be tied to projects with estimates for
Yes,
the projects.
Yeah.
So I think it's
Yep.
fine. Again, things come up and I think it's a good idea to have a little bit of wiggle room. You need to fix a door or whatever, but I would like any additional in future budgets, any additional funds going in there to be earmarked for specific projects.
we,
And again, there can be contingency even in that. And then there's an accounting at the end and then we understand, so we put $50,000 into a bunch of projects. Came in 10,000 under budget for, with the combination of all the projects. So we have an extra 10,000 to put towards a project for next year that we can just keep in that reserve account, but with that understand, just so there's an accounting of it.
Yep.
And it doesn't become a slush fund.
correct. Don't want one. All right,
Or an ice fund.
and then I'm gonna create and fund a new reserve account called the PFAS reserve account or reserve fund.
So that amount reflects the known costs that we're gonna incur for bottled water and filtration and whatnot, is that correct?
My best guess right now is, at the end of this year, we had put money in, sorry, let me back up. In August, we put money in through a special town meeting out of our undesignated fund balance into the contingency account of $13,000. Basically, the difference between what our a storm event cost to get us to $200,000 of our unassigned fund. So it's about $13,500. That has dwindled down a bit because we've been paying for bottled water to be delivered to a few properties that have PFAS, high PFAS levels as we work through agreements and then installing systems. My assumption is that we'll have about 9,500 left over in, it's my guess right now, we'll formalize it before the warrant articles are done. To carry over from the contingency account and move it into this reserve account, plus another 11,000, I think is enough to pay for the two systems we still have to install and get reimbursed for the water we've been spending on now to get us through to have a nice base. So these systems, the state program is because the houses were built before the year 2000, we'll get 90% reimbursed. So it won't, long term, it won't be a huge cost for the town, but I do anticipate somewhere around $1,000 a year we'll have to keep in this account to cover those costs. I think it's costs.
Right, so at this point, the money that we're moving in there plus this 11,000 is because we have to pay for things up front.
Correct. And
And
then we
then
get reimbursed
get
to that
reimbursed.
account. dwindled down a little bit over years, but we can always just replenish a little bit more. But this is an initial starting point.
Yep. Just
Not
keep-
that we've discussed it yet, but with the memo that you gave us in your packet.
Yeah.
It seems like this might just be the tip of the iceberg.
And that's right, why I'm moving towards a reserve account instead of a annual operating line right now.
Okay. I just,
Yeah.
hope that 11,000 is enough.
Yeah.
All right, anyone have any other questions on that? Create and fund a new reserve account for severe storm reserve, called a severe storm reserve fund with $168,000 of undesignated fund balance. All right, Kevin, you're probably better explaining this, but this is for the hopefully FEMA reimbursed, some FEMA
This
reimbursed
would be,
expenses.
yeah, this
Yep.
would be reimbursed 90% when all said and done. Problem is another situation where we have expenses related to the storm damage from last May
Mm-hmm.
1st that we're now starting to realize and having to pay for. So I'm already expended the 186,000 that we allocated back in August. There's another estimated 168,000 that we're gonna have to pay for design work and completion of the design work. I do anticipate about $40,000 coming back to us for some of those events sometime in the next few weeks. So the money's starting to come in, but they're not in line with one another. I'm asking for undesignated fund balance as part of the process here. And I'll take that to town meeting because it'll give me a chance to explain exactly all the FEMA stuff that is in the priorities list. Explains a lot of what's going on right now in terms of money in, money out. But I do think right now it's important to designate funds to cover this. As we get reimbursed, we can move the money out of there or keep it there because this weekend is now the fourth storm since the start of the year where the town has incurred storm-based cleanup costs. So I'm kind of shot in the dark assumptions about where we are, but it'll be important to communicate with this board and with the community about these expenses going forward.
Yeah, this is not a fund just to cover what happened last May. It's going to be
That's
seemingly
that's why I'm suggesting we
Yeah.
call it the Severe Storms Fund. It's our rainy day fund outside of our undesignated fund balance, so that we can pay for things immediately rather than have to call a special town meeting just to move the money.
This is our fourth one. It's a every 6-week event at this.
Yeah, it's not a 100-year storm, it's a 100-day storm.
Anybody? Okay. All right, then the next one is increase the revaluation reserve fund budget to cover the full cost of the reval for the fiscal year 25. We just needed some more money to pay for that. We discussed that last time. Does anybody have any questions on that? Nope, so that's good. Gonna decrease Veterans Park Reserve by the little $250 that was going in there because it's got enough money to do projects and we don't know what the projects are at this point, so.
It's got $6,500 in there and we do spend, this is the one where we spend a little bit of money out of our own. This is one of those, we spend a little bit of money out of our
Yes.
annual operating budget.
Yeah.
$60 on the side or something.
Yeah.
Well, that was out of the reserve account, but we got, then we got a
Credit.
credit for that at that place. Separately, we have an account in our annual operating budget in general
Yeah.
101 that pays for some of the like mulching and stuff.
Flowers and,
Yep.
Right.
And it's the same with Harrietburg. Some of it's in our annual operating.
so, I mean, this should be for some big project that we were gonna do with the park. At this
Correct.
point, we don't have any planned, but who knows with the Village Partnership Initiative, we may have some park work to do, so I don't know. Let's see, the increase in the checking account reserve budget line or interest, go up by about $25,000.
Yep. So that'll actually lower the
Right.
amount that the taxpayer has.
Yep.
So if you were to just, Michelle, could you take that one to show everybody what happens? You were to click yes. It is. It changed, you can see the top
Percentage
corner
up
where
the
it said,
top.
it used to say 6.16, now it says 5.73%. So it shows it actually reduces the property tax amount.
And again, that's an estimate. There's-
That's an estimate. We still don't have final numbers from the school.
Right. So at this point, why don't we say, just to keep ourselves in line, then, do I have a motion to approve yes on numbers 1 through 10, and then we'll get onto the roads?
Sure.
Right?
Yeah.
So motion to approve 1 through 10
Move that.
by Tor, seconded by Rufus. Everybody okay with that? Want to vote yet? Vote for that? Yeah,
Yeah.
good. All right, so we're good with increasing those or guessing those, Michelle. All right, capital roads. This one we're not done talking about. I know that.
No, I did create a memo, but I don't think I actually sent it to you regarding the conversation from last Wednesday. It's up online. But this is one of those areas where I would suggest that either we spend some time tonight discussing it, or we host another workshop to talk more specifically about what was proposed by our road commissioner and the town manager versus where you want to go with those dollar amounts. I know the initial concept here of moving it up to the full 1.2 million would have covered all of those projects that were proposed, even if they don't get to them in the next year, at least their money's allocated for those purposes.
Trying to find the slide with all of this.
Yeah, it might be helpful to pull that.
I think for discussion purposes, we should, until we have a chance to go, in years past, we've always gone over the capital roads projects with the road commissioner to
Yeah.
decide what we could cut and what we could not, and what made sense.
I mean, I have,
So I would say,
I don't know, what exactly this project entails. Like,
Yep.
You know, it'd be nice to know that information from the road commission. And then B, there's some boundary questions on this, particular road too. So until those are clarified, the two reasons I don't feel comfortable.
No, I mean, we can put a
approving
number,
that.
right? No, we can put a number in there, but yeah, it's not going to be
And the
settled.
exactly, and the question is to Seth, like, if can we write down a number on that, or is it all or nothing?
Well, and I'd also thought if we include Hassan, we're not going to get to the final overlay of Island Road until probably the next fiscal year anyway.
Mhm.
So we could take that out.
Mhm.
So the increase is not quite as high. No, not take it out to not do it, but not just take it out of this year's budget and put it in next year's. But it's probably all the discussion we have to have with Seth. So I don't know, Kevin, what do you want us to do with that number then if we want to talk to the road commissioner a little
Just
bit more on that?
postpone doing it into that line and maybe having another workshop specifically on capital.
What's that schedule?
What schedule?
Another workshop before the 9th?
It would be next Wednesday or next Monday.
Yeah. So next week.
Yeah.
yeah, we should do it.
Well, we've been getting together once a week as it is, so.
Just, I'm gonna share this is another presentation I gave or provided as part of the workshop last week. And this is what we're talking about right now. So the general public understands, or residents who are here tonight understand. This is a summary of what was being discussed. And there was a total of roughly $1.2 million suggested. The only one that wasn't recommended as part of this initially was the Hassan Avenue. And that in part was because it's unclear what we actually own and how far this would go. So yeah, having Seth here to talk about this and break it down with us would be very beneficial. I had put 880,000 in the budget book. It was before I saw all the numbers with Seth. So the total recommended came to 836. And I sort of approved a bunch of other ones to try to get us back up to that amount. So that's what the 300,000 you see on the calculator is about, is the difference between what I was recommending initially and the suggestions.
On our last budget meeting, there was a discussion about actually tracking down
Mhm.
ownership of Hassan Ave? Were any steps taken towards that this week?
Yes, in fact, Shell has had an in and got us some basic information and we are currently muddling through it. Help from
White-haired gentleman.
in the back who's offered to provide assistance. However, this weekend proved
Yeah.
fruitless due to inability to use your computer.
Yeah.
So we're a little behind on.
Okay,
where
but there was some information gathered.
Oh, yeah.
And
I don't
that's
know if it goes
in
deep
process.
enough, but we're
Okay.
gonna look into it.
All right, then do we want to pick a date and time for further discussions on roads budget?
I mean, part of that is going to be contingent on Seth's availability, right?
Can we propose something?
Propose next Wednesday.
The third?
Might stick with Wednesdays. Oh, wait a minute. That's
April.
April 3rd.
April 3rd.
The Historical Society is supposed to be having a meeting in here.
Should we go for the first? Just because that's
On
the next Monday.
It's April Fool's Day.
It's April Fool's Day. It's perfect.
There we go.
Get ready for some pranks.
Does that work? Does this first work?
Yeah.
So, and if it doesn't work for Seth, then we could look at the third.
Right,
but
then we
we'll
can push it later. Let's just go for
Something.
the,
Okay,
No one's in here on Monday, the first.
okay.
This
And
is available.
And if you don't have the Historical Society on for the third, you're supposed to.
We
Okay,
did,
good, thank you.
Tuesday and Thursday that week have meetings.
Okay, so we're gonna look at a workshop at 7.
On the first.
If Seth is available.
If not, I'll communicate with you to schedule something else and we'll get it out there to the public.
that's 7 o'clock start time.
All right, and then the last one, looks like we have an increase in our legal.
So this wasn't discussed at any of the workshops because I didn't remember to bring the retainer with me, but there was a retainer request from our current attorney for 28 from prior years is 28,000. He's looking to increase it to 30,000. And that's what that is.
Any discussion on that? Do you wanna?
I got a question. You know, when the last time that we increased that retainer amount?
3 years ago,
3 years ago?
I believe so.
Okay.
22 actual, I think.
Might I ask a couple questions? Is that paid in a lump sum? Or is it paid as the work is delivered?
It's a retainer, a lump sum. Yeah.
taken?
Yes.
Yeah, it was 25 FY 22.
What was that? Tor?
25,000
In 22.
FY 22. So
How many hours? Around.
As many as we can get out of him. Yeah, there are limitations in the. Oh, we can ask him.
I'll
He's
pull
busy.
up the
We
retainer.
have to wait, yeah.
yeah. Peter's explained it to me as an all-you-can-eat buffet. Either you're hungry or you're not.
Assuming the store is open.
David, assuming the lawyer's rate is $15 an hour, which is probably pretty, that would be 2,000 hours. So
All right, 1750. I think it's,
I'm paying more than the.
There's
first
a
responder.
retainer request I received. Matters which ethical or professional rules of the state of Maine do not allow us to accept. I mean, that's pretty standard. Pre-litigation and litigation of enforcement matters and land use violations. This will be performed at the retail rate, and then ordinance drafting other than by an additional agreement. Hence the reason I do a lot of the work. Nice.
So that's outside of the scope of.
Correct.
Mhm.
The $15.
Yeah. Yes, at that point, it's, no, 1750, right? Or can we just go 21 and support
Yeah.
everybody at 21?
Everybody needs a living wage. Then do we want to make a motion to approve that one to pull into the budget? That increase? $2,000,
Sure.
Otherwise, we're gonna come up short.
right? Right,
I'm already,
Alright.
I'm already in the hole at the beginning of the year.
yeah. All right,
Yeah.
made motion by
Second.
Joel, seconded. All in favor? All right, you're not voting?
Okay.
Oh. All right, 5-0. So we'll include that one as well, and we'll just come back to the.
Yep.
The roads. All right. What else do you need from us on this,
You have other motions you'd like to talk about tonight?
as far as the budget?
Yeah. You're also welcome to save it till next meeting.
Other motions, meaning other changes. that we
Correct.
Want to make.
Yes, other changes.
I only thought at this point was on roads. What was the other one I had? I can't think of anything else. We've gone through it
I
all.
don't, I feel like other than roads, we've gone through it. pretty well.
Yep. Ben, did you have anything else? Roads.
Yeah. The memo, I'll remember to forward to you before I go home. I did put in there, I think we need to spend more time on it because it was clearly all of the things we looked at over those 3 workshop days. We really did a deep dive on a lot of the elements of it and talked about,
Right.
the numbers. I don't know what else to offer. So
Roads. it's
roads is a
huge.
big issue.
It's huge.
It's a big challenge.
It's
And
getting
I
to-
wish I had more time to have developed the visual to help decide, all right, this is where we need to put our money, but I need another year to get there.
Well, that's a big undertaking.
No, it just means I'm going to walk around all summer. It's great. Looking forward to it. Rex and I are going to walk around.
Walk down all the roads.
You got it.
Okay. And I don't think there are any other motions.
Great. If
Until
you
we
have
get the-
other ideas, I mean, the
Yeah.
idea is that we're still digesting this and thinking about where we wanted to go over the next couple of meetings. So if there's things that come out of next week's conversation, we'll have them ready for the meeting on the 9th. Hopefully by then I have numbers from the school and
Yeah.
that top 6.23 becomes what it needs to be to get us to warrant articles on the 22nd.
Yeah, that number didn't adjust with your guesses there.
Yes, it did. It's now
Okay.
6.23.
That's all?
That's because we haven't.
You didn't touch.
Oh,
the-
we
We didn't
the
touch
big
the
one,
big one.
the
Didn't
big
touch the big one.
the
It's
big
not
one.
decided yet.
Okay.
So
I'm expecting to see double digits there, but that's.
you
all
would
right.
see double digits there,
Yep,
but,
okay.
yeah, 300,000 is roughly 1% of the municipal budget. Or I'm sorry, 10% of the municipal budget.
Okay,
Our municipal budget is, around $3.3 million, just the municipal piece. So when you're looking at all of the municipal, $330,000 would be 10%.
okay. It's big. That's following quickly in the footsteps of schools and county and.
Right, and as part of this exercise, I did give both GSB and the secondary education a 5% increase. So that includes that 5% increase for both of
Right.
those expenditure categories.
Right.
So
It can be great news and it comes
Good.
down, or it can be bad news and it goes way. up.
I'm hoping it comes down. I do think it's going to come down, at least on the GSB side.
So, okay,
Just waiting.
all right, then I guess we're
That's it.
done with the budget section.
Yeah.
Unless anyone has anything else they want to add. Nope.
Thank you.
Right, then. Okay, update on the select board priorities. All right, we're not reordering them. We're just talking about where we are. Yeah.
I mean, if you feel inclined, you want to get that ordinance done that, I don't know.
What ordinance?
Unsafe building ordinance.
Oh, start cruising through making that tonight.
Oh, boy.
Joel, your favorite Gantt charts.
Yeah, I don't.
Stop sharing. Actually, egg break tomorrow, yeah. Doesn't need it tonight. Sorry, I just wanted to be able to share this too. This is the memo I created last week after I reviewed sort of the list of priorities, and I provided a lot of context in terms of each of these priorities. I think there's a couple that are really important to point out. I mean, obviously, the downtown traffic planning, that is the Village Partnership Initiative. That is something we've been working through, and I have a whole, I don't want to read word for word, but if there are particular aspects of this you want to hear more about, I know the timeline initially when we met in February for a kickoff meeting, kickoff meeting, we talked about March as a time for a big stakeholders meeting. It's being pushed into the beginning of April, and towards the end of April and early May, we'll do more of an outreach campaign and gather information from the public. So we're about a month off from that initial concept. So I'm grateful to Lincoln County Regional Planning Commission for helping to keep this on the radar screen and keep these concepts moving forward and the relationship with Wright Pierce. I'm excited about what it will become, but a lot of it is tied to collecting the data we need first so that we can make some recommendations.
And they can't collect some of that data until
We
down
don't
the
want to
road,
collect the
so-
data right
no,
now because
we don't.
it's not a true picture of what it is like here in the summer.
Yep.
Important to know what it's like now, but
Right.
that's going to help determine what gets done. The next item is the comp plan modifications and implementation. Honestly, this is just sort of paused, just due in part, I think, to the budget process, the fire truck bid, and the need to address LD 2003 and the shoreline zoning for the June meeting kind of took priority. And remember, I only have a part-time planner, with whom I'm grateful to have at least that. But a lot of the things on our top priority list involve his knowledge and support. So still trying to figure out how we can continue to get all these things accomplished for you. I hope April will provide that. Ordinance and policy housekeeping. Based on that Gantt chart that Joel crosses his eyes over, I also realized like the colors here are almost as bad as some of the things I was showing you last Wednesday. So I apologize for color choices. But yeah, I think we're probably falling about a month behind. I had hoped to be sharing with you I had hoped to, I should have already had in front of you the fire, boy,
and Scott,
yes,
fire company.
that ordinance probably should have been in process already because you would have had to have called for public hearings the last meeting for them to have been on the June warrant. So things that I had planned to try to bring to you for the June warrant already, they're at the end. So anyway, we're just a little behind on that. I'll keep an eye on it. Maybe we can catch up later in the year. But it was a pretty aggressive plan to begin with.
Well, and I know we're gonna talk about priorities after the June elections, but maybe some of those, we need to take a little gap or slow the roll down on that because there's so much else that's come up
There has been, and that might be what comes out of the June conversation. Like I still want to get things under.
Yeah.
Getting going, but yeah. So the first, I don't have to go into all of the ordinance policies. You guys have done a great job getting some things done, including tonight, the fireworks, the finance. We've, we're on track to get LD 2003 taken care of, which is state required. And the shoreland zoning is also something that we're trying to get in compliance with the state or in line with what the state has recommended. Historic preservation's been postponed, so I crossed it out on this list for now. Harbor management has been drafted, and we're going to work to do the Shellfish Conservation Committee and have them review their ordinance in the next few months and address both of the joint special town meeting with Damascotta. So it's a little different than what we initially talked about, but I think it's a better way to approach that. Have both towns vote in the same place, one right after the other, with joint conversation about them. Like I mentioned, Tansicott would have had to have gone in front of everybody last week or you would have had to call a public hearing last week or last meeting, sorry. Shoreline zoning, I mentioned that. Roads, driveways, and entrances. We haven't even fully reviewed this yet, so I can't even bring it to you tomorrow to get it ready for, I don't know, sometime this summer, but we will. And then with the budget process in full swing, we did identify additional changes to the unassigned fund balance, and you approved those on the last meeting. So, yeah, I got to cross something else further down the list on it, but. The core zoning updates will be on track for the warrant in June, April 22nd. Same with the shoreland zoning and conservation commission. There are lots of links in the memo for folks if they want to dig back and do some deep dives on the meeting we've had previously about those. Mayday storm and Lynch Road minor span. This one I do want to spend a few minutes on because I have not shared this level of detail about this particular event. So last May, town of Newcastle experienced an extreme weather event, resulted in nearly 2 million. That's the number we put into the spreadsheet that goes to the county that then sends to the state that determines whether or not we get a federal declaration. Lincoln County was qualified because of that one event. It is looking like it is going to be close to $2 million, all said and done, $2 million project for Newcastle. This is, 118,000 of it was cleanup, repairs to certain roads, 4 different roads. Part of that was North Newcastle, Lewis Hill, Cochrane, and East Old County Road have relatively minor, but they had road repair needs and were addressed back then. There's emergency temporary repair. That's $18,000. That was basically breaking a hole next to that Lynch Road minor span, filling with concrete, because so much of the riprap had been washed out from both behind one of the walls and underneath, which caused it to compromise. But by filling with concrete, kind of held it in place. Large, heavy traffic cannot go over that minor span. Right now, it's just passenger vehicles that can. And then the debris cleanup was about 13,000. And
Quick question on that.
yep,
I drove down there yesterday. For the maple syrup thing, but I didn't see any limited signs.
it's at the beginning when you come off of Route 1. When you turn right onto,
okay.
when you turn left or right onto Lynch Road,
Right.
there is a sign there that says posted.
Mm.
That there's a second culvert, and some people have been, including myself, confused about, there's 2 culverts on Lynch Road. The first one did have damage too.
Yeah.
That got repaired in a permanent way. So that's the other $48,000 is that culvert repair.
Yeah.
And that, so, categories A and category A is debris cleanup. Category B is emergency temporary repair. Category C's are permanent fixes. So right now we've submitted all the paperwork to FEMA and have been obligated for category A and category B. So they've given the money to the state for those projects, the 75% that comes from the federal government. Now the state needs to come up with their 25% and they'll write us a check for now a total of 90% of our request is been approved.
The 2 smallest numbers.
The 2 of those smallest numbers, yes. Oh, no, I'm sorry. Category A and category C1.
Oh, good.
So it's the 39,000.
Okay.
The temporary work is still caught up in, were we allowed to pour concrete there without special permits kind of stuff. So it's that nuanced, and it's that much time spent walking through, taking photos, pulling up old photos, and it's a lot of work. And category C2, I'm still haven't hit final with the state, with the federal government, but I'm working on it. Oh, no, wait, that one has been submitted. I'm sorry, it's a category B one, hasn't been fully submitted yet, just because of those questions. All right, so the last piece of this, which is not shown in that list of 4 that I put up there, the fifth request back is for the replacement of that permanent solution to the Lynch Road minor span. The first step is, how much does it cost to replace? Our estimation by VHB was $1,005,000 to replace that bridge, and that included every full package, all the engineering, all this.
To replace that bridge.
Replace it.
To replace it with a bridge.
No,
Well, you-
replace the culvert.
Oh,
with
In
another
sorry.
kind,
Yeah,
right.
yeah.
Yeah, so,
kind.
yeah.
Exactly the same thing that's
Okay.
there.
Mhm.
Now, we all know that's not the best solution for that site, based on the hydrology report.
Right.
And just the fact that we've lost it 2 other times. Or twice.
Yep.
We've lost it now twice, right? FEMA has very specific rules about how they then, okay, you had a third party estimate the cost, we're also gonna estimate. They estimated the cost, I think, about $882,000 all in. A part of that full package, part A, was 715. That's the material that goes in, the material and the equipment and the labor to actually do the work. Not the engineering, not the supervision, not the administrative pieces. All of those are different parts of what's called the CEF. I think I put the cost estimating formula. So that cost estimating formula is, they estimate to be $715,000, $715,897.70. I'm just gonna call it $716,000. That is the number that they determine whether this is a large project or not. $716,000 is not a large project, because the $1 million is the threshold for it to get over. Notice the $1 million higher. So that's $716,000. My next step is I can go to the mitigation office and say, hey, I have this project. If we do wing walls and we do bigger riprap, we do some modifications to this culvert, we can actually request up to 100% more than that number, that 716. So we can request $1,430,000. Has to get approved by mitigation. Once that's approved by mitigation, that's the amount of money we can go forward with to do a mitigation improvement project. Now, once we get that approval, I can go back to the federal government and say, you know what? We think we could do a better project, and we have that $1.4 million to move. And it's a question of has to be obligated as a mitigation project before we can request that. So I'm sitting on this bridge concept that's designed, ready to go, but I gotta wait till we go through all of these steps of the process. And I'm not sure I can do it with 1.4. That's just the material, that's labor to do it. There are additional monies that can be added to it for engineering, for the contractor's overhead, whatever those other pieces are can be added to that later. But this is a very long process. And I've already gotten confirmation that we don't have to finish in 18 months because it's such a big project, or will be a big project after
We can get it,
mitigation.
yeah.
After mitigation approves it, then it's a big project. Then I don't have to wait 18 months. I can do it more than 18 months. That's me just regurgitating everything I've learned in the past 9 months about FEMA. I've never dealt with a FEMA project before, but now I'm just going to go take that shovel to the road.
Yikes. And you're not done dealing with FEMA.
No.
Not even a very long
so
shot.
There's another category Z, which is my time,
Yep.
which I'm tracking very closely.
Good.
So that we can get reimbursed on 90% of that.
Good, good, good.
So
That'd be lovely too. If,
I don't know. I'm just, the sad part is I'm losing so much time to so many other things that the town actually wants to do. But I do worry that, you know, we've already talked about the severity and the regularity of these storms. The next event, at least I now know the process. I've worked with an incredible project manager. She's really helped me. She knows the acronyms. She says them, spits them out like I've known them for years. So I have to like slow her down, walk me through this again. So
Yep.
she's gotten me to the point where I was able to break this out and explain it. Hopefully, you guys understand where we're sitting.
but this is all important for you to have the time to spend on it because this is money for us. This
Huge.
is a lot
Yeah,
of money.
I mean, the idea here is that the total cost of this entire event comes to $2 million. So it's 1.6 for the bridge. And it's, you know, several $100,000 worth of other pieces to
Yep.
this. We get to $2 million. I don't want the town to have to take out a bond of $2 million to take care of this.
Nope.
So if I put the time and effort into it, we're only on the hook for 10%. So yes, $200,000, but
Right.
that's a heck of a lot less expensive than full,
Yep.
full ride. So.
And hopefully we have something that doesn't wash out every 6 or 8 years.
Correct. I think based on VHB's recommendation, that the bridge span is our best
Yeah.
option. We just have to wait till FEMA says you can do that.
And hope that it doesn't get washed out.
Come on,
Actually.
Chris. Come on.
in the meantime.
Although
that might
I mean,
speed
the current.
FEMA up.
Current thing.
Yeah,
It might.
the
Yeah,
current
no, no, it won't speed them up.
We can get another 2 million. We can make 2 million on it. We can
Right.
Oh, there you
Pocket
go.
the money.
Right.
Sure.
We can claim it twice.
Good luck with that, Joel.
Doesn't work.
No, just a couple other things. Developing a fish ladder agreement with Noblesboro. I've been working with Jim Brinkler since December on an agreement between 3 parties. Now we're back down to 2 parties. I had hoped to have this on your agenda tonight to address. Unfortunately, he's had an issue that he can't be here tonight, so we're going to postpone to the next meeting and address it then. Town property maintenance schedule. I have not started that yet. I really do want to use some funds in one of our reserves to hire someone to walk the sites with me, talk about what needs to get done, so then I can actually prioritize. Housing development strategy. Andy and I do hope, now that he's back full-time from, you know, becoming a dad, he and I hope to sit down and actually plan out some events with the 2 boards to start addressing some of these issues with housing. In the meantime, we have applied for a grant. Don't know the answer to that one yet, but that's to try to help identify sites and do some site plan concepts between the 2 towns for first responders. Create a new grant program, create a new program to help partner with the developer to actually get something done.
Housing.
Project, yes. Oh, sorry. Town office relocation strategy. Another one I haven't been able to start yet. So we're
No, just
staying
get us
busy.
that $2 million. Don't worry.
Yeah,
Don't
okay.
worry.
We've been busy. We have some internal goals of our own that I haven't really made public or made a requirement of the board to support or anything like that. It's, you know, stuff like file formatting and store software we use and trainings and those types of things. And then, you know, the unplanned community needs, such as turning this into a warming center for people who don't have power. Yeah. And then budget workshops. Recently during the budget workshops that should at least be discussed more publicly, but I would request the board see this memo as an update. We did that tonight, and thank you for that. I mean, that's the intent of that process we went through with the motion.
Yep.
If the board was more contentious or had different views, I think it would have helped go
Mhm.
through each of those individually. But seeing how the board seemed all on the same page with those changes, what we did worked, because it allowed us to publicly collect what were the changes the board wanted to make, what are they individually, and why. So, unless you do have specific priorities you'd like to discuss, I'd ask that we just wait till June to modify this list.
Then are we on to the town manager report?
Yeah.
course,
It's.
it's quick.
It
We
is
just
quick.
have another PFAS
Yep.
letter that was received last week. This is sort of the next level, the next tier. So they did the landfills. We found some properties in Newcastle that are impacted by it. Now it's going to be a question of where are there other sludge sites in Newcastle or surrounding towns that are impacting our waterways. So I don't have any more information right now. If there are questions you have, or if there's questions the public have, they've asked that they be funneled through my office so that I can speak directly with the director, the deputy director of the DEP and communications.
We're only on the hook, for the current ones because it was town-owned property.
Correct. That landfill was.
So
Um,
other
agricultural sites, which are coming up.
That's not, the town's not gonna be
I sure hope not.
on the hook for that.
I sure hope not. And then, as I mentioned, the postpone on the fish ladder
Yep.
agreement.
All right. Then on to, do I have a motion to approve the fiscal year 24 18th AP warrant of, this is a big number.
Oh, I want to do this one.
Oh, you want to do it? Okay,
Yeah.
you make the motion to.
I want a motion that we approve the, Jones here. I'm just looking at the number. Yeah, fiscal year 24 AP warrant for $2,635,931.48. Of which, is it 2.4, we're just moving to another bank.
Yeah,
Yeah.
so it's a very large amount. This is the beginning of the process of transferring our accounts over to First National Bank. So I didn't put this in here because sometimes I put little quibs in my write-ups. Sometimes I'm writing them at 4 a.m. Sometimes I'm writing them at midnight. And there are errors in some of my write-ups, but I will say I didn't put in something here about, we actually, when we write a check to Town of Newcastle, our software system says Town of Newcastle petty cash. So writing a check for $2.4 million
Petty
in
cash.
cash.
Yeah.
I looked to staff, I said, you guys just want to go buy an island and move?
Yeah, I was
So
gonna
we're not
say,
gonna put that in.
petty
writing.
cash is pretty funny.
Yeah.
Do we have are you looking for a motion? I'll make a motion. Someone seconded it.
I'll second.
Rufus seconds it. My only question on this was, we are writing an amount to take to the new bank, that we still leave some money in the old bank to clear out checks and all of that stuff
Yep.
for a little bit.
Yep.
Okay, and then we'll close that out
We'll
once we
finish
get
that
all the
up.
new checks come
Correct.
in and all that stuff.
Yep.
Okay,
In fact, we're starting to collect second payments for taxes. They're all going into the new bank already. So
Okay.
that was addressed immediately so that we aren't
Right.
dropping money in both accounts right now. So, yep.
okay,
I think this warrant will be able to close it out.
okay, very good. Anyone have any other questions on for the rest of the warrant?
Oh, I was just, when I was looking through it, I was like, really, we're paying for mowing? You know,
Already.
looking out at my
Snow.
lawn covered in snow. But I understand the end of the month.
Hard to believe right now, looking out
Yeah.
there.
Yeah.
All right, then all in favor? Right, yep, so it passes by nothing. We done?
Executive.
Yeah, just I have an update for you.
Executive session, yep. Wow, okay. But I expected this to be well after 9 o'clock with the other meeting first. This is
Well,
good.
that's because we postponed the roads.
The roads part.
The roads could have taken us an hour, maybe 2.
All right, then do I have a motion to go into executive session? Consideration of real property acquisition. Title I. What is that squiggly thing?
Section.
Section, thank you, 405.6.c.
Know exactly what you're talking about.
Yeah, everybody knows. What is that? David's like, I know what that is.
We'll
It's a
stick in
squiggly
it.
thing, yeah. Section, okay.
Rufus,
Moved by Rufus, seconded by Joel. All in favor? All right, 5-0. Thank you.